Hello and welcome to another Demon 212 PC review. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Borderlands 1, which if you're confused, basically, I reviewed Borderlands 1 on the PS3 ages ago. There was so much info, I decided that the only way I could really do a proper review would be to mention it all, so it turned out to be 5 parts. It was absolutely huge, and it was the PS3 version, as I say. Since moved over to the PC version, buying the Game of the Year edition in a Steam sale just because I loved Borderlands that much. I wanted to play it again, and moved on to Borderlands 2 on the PC, and now I'd never go away from the PC for Borderlands. Despite a lot of people slating the PC version, saying it was buggy and everything, it's by far and away the best version of the game. It's just absolutely amazing, and it's just one of those things that until you experience it, you don't really know how much different it is. I mean, I'm going to try and mention some of the differences. For example, the fact that there's just like barely any lag or slowdown on it compared to the PS3 version. There's just loads of the problems are fixed. The graphics are far better. It's just one of those things. But anyway, let's get into playing the game, because you've got single player, online game, LAN game, which was always my preferred way of playing it. I played it with my two brothers. Another reason why I moved over to the PC version, because I could only play it with one brother on the PS3, whereas we've all got a PC, so we could play it 3-player. Options, being a PC, you get so much. I mean, you can choose mouse and keyboard controls, gamepad, you can choose your audio and video options, of which there's all sorts you can do. You can choose your game options. So yeah, just standard PC stuff really. Anyway, I'm just going to load up my Siren character, walk around, try and kill some enemies, and talk about the game. Because it's one of those, I must have spent probably close to 700 hours in Borderlands 1. It just over both iterations, and I'll be honest, I am that addicted to the game that I'm contemplating even buying the Xbox version, just so I can get all the achievements on that. But first I've got to beat all of the Moxie achievements for this one. So, the whole point of Borderlands, for those who haven't played it, you play as a Vault Hunter, you play as a kick-ass Vault Hunter who just wants to get some loot. There's not really much story there. It's probably the biggest complaint from people saying that there wasn't much story, but personally I figure that the real story of Borderlands is actually, and this is going to sound really cheesy and corny and naff, but the real story is friendship and bonding, because if you play this game alone, you're going to miss out on the fact that when you play it together with your mates, even if the mates you've known for a long time, when you're playing something for so long, you can just talk and be real with each other, and like, you know, it's just one of those things that it's definitely a better bonding experience, I think, playing this for 100 hours than going out for a night on the lash and getting so mortal that embarrassing secrets come out that get taken the wrong way. I'd much rather play a video game with me mates than go out for a drink. I'd much rather spend my money on games too. But it's just one of those things. Some people slated it for the lack of story, because it is just a simple, you are there to get the best loot, and that's pretty much it really. There's 4 different classes that you can play as. The Siren is my favourite. She's called Lilith, and basically she can do a phase blast, which is this, where a huge explosion happens, which you can set it to be different elements, so fire, shock, explosive, or corrosion, which is acid. She can then become invisible to the enemies and invincible, and you can upgrade that so you can stun enemies, and basically she's best when used with an SMG, of which you can get SMGs so powerful that they're even more powerful than the likes of shotguns, and with the fire rate bonuses and everything, they just decimate things. There's a lot of people who say that Lilith is actually one of the weakest characters on the game. I just personally think they're not playing as Lilith properly, or maybe I'm just not playing as the other characters properly, because the other characters, you've got Berserker, who is called Brick, and he's just a huge mammoth man-beast of a man, and he uses things like shotguns and rocket launchers and gets bonuses for those. You've got the Soldier, who's a support class. He's pretty weak. He doesn't really have any major specialties other than assault rifles and shotguns, and assault rifles aren't exactly the best weapons on the game. They tend to be underpowered throughout the entire game, quite frankly, but he's there so that he can support people really, because he can throw out a turret, and that turret can heal you, and anyone in your party who stands in the turret radius, it can give you ammo. He's called Roland, by the way. Brick, going back to the Berserker, I forgot to mention his power. He basically, if you've ever played Doom and got one of the Berserk packs, I think that's where Berserker came from for this, because he runs around punching things, and all of the specials can have the same elements, so you can actually do a flaming punch and flaming bullet turrets and that. The final class is the Hunter class, which is basically Mordecai, who is a sniper, and he throws out a little eagle which can attack some enemies. It's easily the worst power in the game as far as I'm concerned. There's loads of people who swear by it. Personally, I just can't stand it. I think it's one of those that's very hit and miss. There's no real way to control him, so he won't really attack who you want him to attack, and it takes a lot of skill points that could have been used in other areas to upgrade better skills in order to get them to be half decent, because each character has got a huge expansive skill tree. Every time you level up from when you hit level 5, you get a skill point and you can spend it. The first one has to go on your ability, and then once you do that you can go through. So you can upgrade critical hit damage with the Hunter, you can upgrade rocket launcher clip size with the Berserker, just all sorts of different things that suit their classes. And some of them are really good skill trees, some of them are pretty poor. I mean, the Siren, if I'm honest, by the time I got to 61, there wasn't really another skill I wanted, but I had to spend the other 8 skill points. Well, to be fair, I think it's 8 that I had left over from that, because I know you then get some in some of the DLC. So I suppose DLC is where I should probably be talking next. Basically, the Game of the Year edition comes with all 4 packs. There is Dr. Ned's Zombie Apocalypse, or whatever it's called. I just simply call it Dr. Zed's, because it's the same character as one of the other ones, just with a mustache on. You basically go through there fighting a load of monsters, zombies and things like that. You've then got Mad Moxie's Underdome, which is basically an old school survival mode where you have to play hundreds of waves, and there's no pausing or anything like that. You have to play it all in one go. There's no saving. That can take upwards of 8 hours if you're unlucky, and that's why I don't currently have those achievements on the PC, but I did 100% the game on the PS3, and I will one day do it on this. It's just finding an afternoon when we can all sit round and do them. You then got General Knox's DLC, which is the one that was considered the best. As far as I'm concerned, it's one of the worst, because it was very buggy, very glitchy. Yeah, it gave you some great loot. Yeah, it gave you a horde boss, basically, someone you can constantly farm, called Chromorax, who was originally really hard, but then once you figured him out, he's actually really easy. And as the Siren, I can actually kill him by myself in under 3 minutes when I put my mind to it, which some people say is impressive, but I know fine well there's other people who can do it even quicker than me. It's just one of those things, though. Once you get to the right level where you can fight them, which, because of this DLC I'm currently standing in now, which is Robot Revolution, it means you have to fight him at level 69 instead of 61, really, stand a chance. And once you get to that point, you'll be killing him again and again and again, trying to get better weapons, because the weapons are pretty much what the entire game is about, really. You have to get better weapons, better shields, better modifications, just because, really. Anyway, Claptrap DLC that I've started to touch upon is basically the Claptraps, which are the little robots that were kind of like C-3PO mixed with Wall-E, had a revolution, and you have to go and kill them, and that's pretty much it, really. The General Knox DLC, I suppose, I've mentioned that it's buggy and it introduced the boss, but it's basically a corporation tries to take over the planet, and you basically have to stop them and that, and it's just one of those. It's got some of the best missions. It's just because it's buggy and there's loads of bad points about it that I personally think the Undead DLC is by far the best. Anyway, though, moving on to the weapon system, seeing as I have mentioned how you want to be going to get better weapons. There's basically loads of different types of weapons. You've got your pistols, you've got your SMGs, you've got your shotguns, your assault rifles, your sniper rifles, your rocket launchers, and your Iridian weapons, which are like alien blaster guns and that. On the PS3, I was actually so sad that I got every one of those proficiencies up to level 50, and when you do that, you get bonuses for the weapons. So, for example, my SMG there, I get another 48% of the gun's damage on top of it. Then I get 102% reload speed and 153% accuracy. You need that because the accuracy on the gun is only 27 out of 100 that I'm currently using, and the one on the PS3 I've got is more powerful and less accurate, so you definitely need the accuracy bonus from the proficiency. You can then, using your skill tree as well, as I say, increase damages for certain things. For example, that gives me more melee damage, There's one over here, when I can remember which one it is, gives me, there we go, high velocity increases me bullet velocity so they fire faster and me bullet damage, and it's just one of those things that you want to build your skill tree around your weapons really in order to get the best weapons that you can. Personally my favourites will be the SMGs, but it's just one of those, it depends on what you'd rather use. I'm not really keen on the shotguns and that. I'm not really keen on many of the weapons of this game except the SMGs and the revolvers and the pistols really. The revolvers are pretty much pistols. I mean, they're classed under the same proficiency, but they are slightly different. They do definitely handle differently. You've then got grenades, which you can't get any proficiency in. You've got your mods, which there's loads of different types. This one gives the team cooldown reduction for using your special abilities and a higher chance of finding rare items. I've got ones that I prefer using, which basically give me high SMG damage, so then that adds to me SMG again. You've then got your shields, which I've mentioned, which is some shields which are just huge. There's some shields which are tiny, but they do special abilities like the heal you, or they'll create an explosion when they deplete so that you can damage enemies. It's just one of those things, as I say, there's loads to actually say about the game, and that's why my original review was 5 parts and about 50 minutes long. So, what else can I say about the game that I can't really say that I haven't already said? As you might have guessed, I absolutely adore this game. It is one of my favourites. If you're only just getting into Borderlands, you're going to want to start with this one, because if you play Borderlands 2, you're probably going to hate this one. They do so much to Borderlands 2 to fix all the problems that you'd have with this game, like problems that you didn't even know were there. Like, they make it easier to navigate missions, they make it easier to sort out where the missions are and where you're going, they make it easier to deal with weapons, so instead of just randomly dropping them, you can actually trade. There's just all sorts that they do with Borderlands 2 that's not in this one. So you're going to want to start with this. It's not going to take you forever and a day to beat it, but it is going to last you quite a while. As I say, I spent like 700 hours in it, just getting better loot and getting all of the achievements and things like that. But once you do, you can move on to Borderlands 2, and as far as I'm concerned, Borderlands 2 may well be one of the best games ever to be made. I mean, this would be up there. This would probably be me top 50 games easy. Borderlands 2 would probably be me top 3 if I'm honest. So that's all I can say about Borderlands for now, until me Borderlands 2 review, which should hopefully be up by the time you're watching this. So there we go then. That's been the review. I hope you found it helpful. I don't score the games because that's based purely on opinion, so instead I'll leave you to make your own mind up. So thanks for watching, and if you've got any questions about the game that I didn't answer in the vid, or that hasn't been answered in the comments, then feel free to ask and I'll help if I can. Also, if you did find it helpful, don't forget to check out my channel, because there's plenty more like this up there, and don't forget to subscribe because there'll be plenty more to come as well. So until next time, this has been Demon212, signing off.